Two things. One, we already know the outcome of the election, and the Rivers people by now were more enlightened and politically, equipped to take decisions in their hands and determine their life and destiny. And if you ask me, I think it is a thing that we encourage every River State people to go about, their lawful duties and be involved. Be more, there should be more participation in political process in River State as it were now. Because if it were to be the usual way, these things are left for political actors to determine, and everybody just, stay back. And that's on one side. Then on the other side, we should be able to see that in democracy in general, there are three main institutions now determines our democracy, either the movement or the growth of our democracy or the retrogressive tendency that we'll see in our democracy. The security agency, in this case, the police, the judiciary. In this country, you see politicians say they rig election and they will advise you to go to court. But in other clime, politicians are scared to take election proceedings to the court, because they know what the judiciary will do when it comes to determining electoral cases. And also, the umpire, in this case, INEC and the rest, we must be able to build institutions at this point in time that should be truly independent, that will not take side when it comes to election proceedings or when it comes to any democratic operation. Take, for example, in Rivers State, the court has said do not participate in election that day. Does it also involve the statutory responsibility of the police of protecting the citizens? Because it was recorded that there was no police or policing in Rivers State on that day. Participating in an election is different from carrying out your constitutional responsibility of securing the state or the environment. If you are not seen at the local government election position where they are doing election, what about in our streets? What about in the roads? What about in the environment? Observing security issues. If there were kidnapping that day, what would have happened? That doesn't have to do with election. If there was cases of robbery, what would have happened? So the police, when carrying out their responsibility, they must be very careful not to give political colorations to their involvement or to their actions, because total neglect and withdrawal from the River State space that they suggest some level of political involvement or sympathy for those who were also boycotting the election. Okay. Not participating in the election does not involve not carrying your general responsibility as a security agency in policing the state, not the election. Okay. So the police have the constitutional and the moral obligation to redeem their image from the Edo State issue that happened down and now to the River State. You remember in the Edo State case, the IG came to the state and he said in one breath that the vigilantes are banned. And you begin to ask yourself, on what ground, on what constitutional ground, or what moral reason you just ban a volunteering group where you have men who are volunteering to protect their environment, their state, and involved in security protection, and also assisting your own agency. We have had cases in Edo Central during the time of Dakwara. 12 kidnapped victims were rescued in one day with the assistance of the police and the vigilantes. We have seen in Edo North where a reverend father was kidnapped, and it was the vigilante that moved ahead into the forest before the police joined, and they were able to rescue one out of two. We have seen several cases, and you just say it is banned. It is not correct. In those scenarios, we can say that in an election process like that, the vigilante will not be deployed in the conduct of state election. It is very clear that before that, during that election, they will not be part of it. And after the election, they go about securing and assisting the police. As it is today in Edo State, the Edo State citizens are exposed to crime and criminalities. You go to, you see even mini buses, people carry guns, they carry passenger and they drop them off after some distance and show them guns. You see our market women who normally goes to their market in the early hours within 4:30 and 5 cannot move in their localities anymore. The police don't do this. Okay. It is the local vigilantes. But just a statement that has the coloration of political error from the IG has crippled that volunteering group and all of that. Yeah. It should not be encouraged. The Red Cross, for example, is a volunteering organization, and we know what the Red Cross is doing. Okay. So we should encourage those set of persons.